The South African Policing Union has welcomed the Police Minister's plan to deal with the high levels of crime. Last week, Minister Senzo Mchunu promised to end crime in particular hotspot areas like Gauteng as well as the Western Cape. Lesiba Thobakgale is SAPU's spokesperson and joins me now to give us their perspective. Now, Mr. Thobakgale, SAPU has expressed support for Minister Senzo Mchunu's priorities, especially in tackling crime. Can you elaborate on which specific measures that SAPU finds most crucial in really addressing the high crime rates in provinces like the Eastern Cape as well as Gauteng?
Thank you so much, Nhlanhla, for having us, and greetings to your viewers. From the perspective of SAPU, the minister in his briefing, he clearly outlined and admitted that the high levels of crime are out of control. There are indeed stringent measures that needs to be taken, because for us, that is the point of departure. You need to really assess and look at yourself to say, where are you lacking and what steps are needed for you to be able to go forward. And he mentioned a very critical issue, which we quite resonate well with, to say our crime intelligence is not fully capacitated, and also looking at the issues of the budgetary provisions when it comes to crime intelligence, capacitating it, increasing the budget, and also making sure that the human capital and also physical resources for crime intelligence are indeed enhanced. Because remember, crime intelligence play a very critical role, because their role is to make sure that a crime should not happen, and they need to know about types of crimes that are being organized, so they can be able to intercept such crimes. And if they happen to occur, then they need to follow up and be sure to make sure that the perpetrators are being able to be traced and for them to be arrested. And if you have a crime intelligence that is not capacitated, then it means that then you will not be able to intercept most of these criminal activities like location transits and so on. So that part of capacitating crime intelligence, we found it to be the step in the right direction. And he also spoke about that they will give the National Commissioner and his management a space to do their work. If you could remember previously, political interference was part of the issues that really took us back when it came to the issue of fighting crime, because of not having a good relationship between the minister and the National Commissioner previously. And that on his own, coming from him, if not even when a journalist asked him a question, he mentioned it in his briefing. So that is giving us comfort, because then that means that the separation of powers will clearly it is clearly set out. Then the minister will know clearly that he's there to focus on political issues, to give political direction as a cabinet member, to fight for the budget and to make sure that the well-being and the functionality of SAPS is in order, whilst the National Commissioner and his management are clearly focusing on an operational part of fighting crime, or the operational part of the South African police services. But he also mentioned a critical issue, about collaboration. In our strategic direction, in our strategic document that we have as SAPU as an organization, we believe in collaboration. Collaboration is one of the pillars that we really believe in. So he mentioned that they will collaborate with organized labor organizations, members of the community, and everyone else who is necessary. Even mentioned the issues of security companies. As we know, security companies also play a very critical role in fighting crime. So that collaboration, we believe that it will help us, because if everybody holds their heads and then they leave the issue of fighting crime to the police alone, the police would not be able to succeed. But we believe that with him initiating that collaboration, it would be able to assist in fighting crime, because the police can't have eyes everywhere, they can't have ears everywhere. But if there's collaboration amongst the members of the society and organizations and so on, then we believe that we would clearly be able to hold hands and fight against crime, because our biggest enemy, it is crime.
So very interesting is that as a union, you've cited the amendment of the South African Police Act of 1995, also highlighting it as important by SAPU. What are the specific amendments that SAPU believes are necessary to really enhance the functionality of the police service?
Remember, when you look at the role of the CPF, Community Policing Forum, since the Act was crafted in 1995, that also, it really needs to be worked out properly, the amendments thereof, indeed to make sure that they get even more support from the South African Police Services, because remember, CPF plays a critical role. And also when it comes to the role of IPAD as well, because it also forms part of that, that is also another area that is quite critical to us. And also when it comes to, for us, we even gave an input clearly that speaks to the powers of the National Commissioner, where the National Commissioner and even also the Minister, they are able to designate a category of workers, like we have in this case, our Public Service Act personnel, whom there has been an agreement since 2011 for them to be incorporated into the Police Act. And that agreement has not been implemented because some of the impediments that we came across, it was the issue of legislative requirements. So that is why we are saying even that the finalization, we know that the sixth administration was in process, but unfortunately it came to an end without finalizing the bill with those necessary amendments, amongst others that we just mentioned. So we believe that, as he said, that he will prioritize it. It will really assist us in moving forward and also making sure that other issues that has to deal with the conditions of service of our members, like what we just mentioned, it will be quite enhanced, but also the role of community policing forum.
It would seem that collaboration is the cornerstone of your proposed strategy. But how does SAPU envision this collaboration with society, organizations and trade unions contributing effectively to fighting crime, but also ensuring law enforcement as well?
Yeah, remember the safety and security sector, it is large. It includes Border Management Authority, traffic, police, metro police, SAPs as well. And there's just a whole lot of role players, including security companies. So collaboration with organizations, including the society at large, through Community Policing Forum, it will really assist to say that where we cannot be able to have boots on the ground, then the members of the society and organizations, like we have seen, Fidelity during the elections on the 29th, they had their choppers in the air. There's a whole lot of strides that they have made collaborating with the South African Police Services. And we don't want it to be limited there. It also goes out to other security companies to say that since they are serving their clients and their clients are there in the society, let us collaborate well and see how do we then beef up the issue of crime prevention. Because the first goal in addressing crime, it is crime prevention, before you can become reactive after a crime has been committed. And also that collaboration through Community Policing Forum will also assist, because we are encouraging this part. And also that in our communities, whether it's rural, whether it's semi-urban, whether it's urban areas, there should be community policing forum structures. There shouldn't be any form of community that does not have a structure of community policing, because that on its own, it means that we are able to have extra boots on the ground, who are able to be our eyes and ears of the police, and who can then, because even these criminals who are committing these acts, they don't live in any other planet, but they live with us within our society. We can be able to flush out the criminals, then they've got nowhere to go, because in the society, when they commit those crimes, the society doesn't want to embrace them. Then at the end of the day, we would be able to squeeze crime. So this collaboration, to us, we are encouraging it, and we are calling on each and every member of the society, all organizations, to say that they need indeed to collaborate together with the police so that we can join hands. And remember, us as a union, we play a critical role. Our members are there on the ground. We understand what is happening on the ground on a daily basis. And he also touched, just stepping a bit forward, about the police killings. Saying that anyone who's attacking the police, anyone who's killing the police, they are really committing crime against the state. And we welcome that action, that what he pronounced, the minister, in his briefing, because for the longest time that has been our position. And indeed, now finding a minister resonating very well with our position, and we're also looking forward to really collaborate with him on that front in our campaign of Protect the Protectors, to say, let us see on how then do we also protect the police, because we can do all of these other things. We can collaborate, we can do the rest of any other initiatives, but if we are unable to protect the protectors, we are unable to protect the law enforcement officers, then at the end of the day, we will be left without anyone to protect us within our communities, or we'll be left with no one to really implement the good strategies that management or the police ministry may come up with, because it needs men and women whom can stand up at all times, day and night, to be fighting against crime by implementing those different strategies.
To go back to a point that you touched on initially, Mr. Thobakgale, and this regarding the capacitation of crime intelligence, can you explain a bit further SAPU's expectations of how increased funding would enhance the capability of law enforcement in really preempting criminal activity?
Remember, crime intelligence, there are those who are covert, there are those who are overt. There's a whole lot of operations, and there's different types of manners that they utilize for them to be everywhere, to sneak around, to check what is really happening. And you need the human capital to make sure that you've got enough agents that you can send out there to be able to really do that work, and some of the different types of operations, and to deal with, in most cases, criminal syndicates. So you need the human capital part thereof, but it doesn't just only end there. The very same human capital, they need resources thereof so that they can be able as well to match up with the syndicates and be able at the end of the day to infiltrate and really do their work accordingly, not even dwelling deeper in really explaining this. And further to that, I mean, we are living in the fourth industrial revolution, technological advancement and so on. There's a whole lot of things. There's a whole lot of technological innovations that crime intelligence are able to use in order to make sure that they're able to intercept here and there, to be able to pick up what is really happening. So capacitation thereof of crime intelligence, it is really quite broad. It comes on the human capital and also on any other, the financial part. It also bring part of the technological advancement type of resources that are there for them to be able to do their job. Right. Because if you have your crime intelligence right in Tandla, believe you, us as we speak as SAPU, that indeed we would be able to intercept most of these syndicates that we are seeing running a racket in this country.
You also mentioned dilapidated police stations and also unsafe buildings within the SAPS needing urgent attention. What steps does SAPU then believe should be taken to address these infrastructure challenges there?
Yeah, the minister is coming at a time, if you could remember, sometime early this year, there were a whole lot of issues related to dilapidated type of buildings that SAPS is occupying. There is an issue, they are blaming one another. The management would be blaming the Department of Public Works. Public Works will be saying this and that, and then people are just running around. And him mentioning it in his briefing to say that they need to pay attention to that. That clearly, it leads to the issue of funding, that they need to have funding set aside to resolve those types of issues. But if you remember previously, early this year, we reported and closed a couple of number of buildings, reported them to the Department of Labor to say these type of buildings are not inhabitable and are not habitable for our members to be working under. And then they were closed. And that on its own, it really, it is something, because there's safety and health environment prescripts that are there. You need to make sure as a union we're carrying that responsibility that our members, wherever they are working under an environment that is quite safe for them, so that they can be motivated. One cannot come from a healthy home, they come to an environment that is not healthy at work, then they end up even catching other diseases that they didn't have. So we believe that him, mentioning that issue, he knows it is one of the burning issues. He needs to expedite to make sure that whatever tit for tat that is being played between the management and also the Department of Labor is resolved, so that at the end of the day, we have good police stations. I mean, there was a video circulating that was showing the police officers, I think it was in Post Loras, where there were rats running all over the show. Instead of police going to be fighting crime, now there's rats are running around, and then they're expected to work there, to eat there, to service the members within that police station in the community service center, and that is also taking their dignity down. So those issues, they need to be expedited.
Thank you so much for your time, Lesiba Thobakgale, really sharing SAPU's insights and perspectives on the police ministry's priorities.